were more or less chance depressions in the rock that happened to look like a track, or in some cases they were produced by humans but not with feet, with chisels. There's a couple of those that appear to be suspicious in that regard. And there's others that appear to be dinosaur tracks that have weathered in an odd way. And this was not the conclusion of the evolutionary establishment. This was John Morris, son of the well-known creationist Henry Morris, who wrote several of the books on that table. So recently they've had to withdraw some of the evidence for dinosaurs and humans walking together. On the other hand, Dr. Carl Bau, who operates the museum right there, is certainly convinced of their reality. He has well, it looked to me like a rock, but he told me it was a fossil human finger, and he's got a PhD. Who am I to doubt him? So clearly there is argument on both sides within the creationist camp, and I'm not quite sure what I should teach, other than that I should probably present, the idea that humans and dinosaurs coexisted and that they didn't, and leave the students free to make up their own minds. But that's really all I know on the topic, and I'm sure Dr. Hovind will enlighten you further.
I would be honored to do such a thing. Wonderful. It's pretty clear known biological fact that reptiles grow all their life. They simply never stop growing, and there's a long technical reason for why, with the growth plates at the end of the bones, etc. Reptiles grow all their life, so if a reptile were allowed to live to be 800 or 900 years old, it would be gigantic. Okay, the word dinosaur means terrible lizard. That's what the word means, and I believe dinosaurs were giant reptiles in the reptilian family from the pre-flood times when people were living to be 900 years old. Dr. Cabrera, should be a C, here is holding human vertebrae found with dinosaur bones in Peru. Dr. Cabrera also has a lot of interesting evidence on dinosaurs and humans living together based on the Ica stones. I have 3 in my collection in Pensacola, Florida, 3 originals. About 50,000 of these stones have been found. There are 15 in the United States. Dr. Ball, who you mentioned, has 1. Dennis Swift has 2. These stones clearly depict dinosaurs. The footprints you're talking about from Glen Rose, Texas, I've been there 3 times. The limestone layers there are pretty interesting. When it weathered and eroded rapidly in 1908 in the flood, a 2-foot layer of limestone was peeled off and moved downstream. About 20 miles, they found the fragments that were peeled off, some pieces as big as a van. Underneath were thousands of dinosaur footprints. So they made Dinosaur Valley State Park. It is still there today. It costs $5 to get in. Well worth going to see. Go in July or August, and you're probably going to have the river dry, and you can walk in the footprints much easier. During the 30s, in the Depression, the sandbags were set up to block off part of the river. It's not a very deep river, normally a couple of feet. And they pumped out areas, and they chiseled out large blocks of tracks to save them in museums. American Museum of Natural History got a large block of tracks and built a dinosaur on top of it. Here's Tom Pendley, the famous photo of him sitting in the dinosaur footprint. Roland Byrd is the one who was in charge of excavating the tracks in 1930. He was an American Field Museum explorer. He said he saw clearly defined human footprints with the dinosaur tracks, 15 to 20-inch long human footprints. Dr. Daughtery was a chiropractor in Glen Rose for 17 years. I met him and talked to him. He spent thousands of hours measuring, documenting all this stuff on human footprints. Knowing, being a chiropractor, he understands a little bit about the biomechanics of walking, and said there are clearly human footprints. That was after his 17 years of research. I don't know if your couple days down there was equivalent to that, but there are thousands of dinosaur footprints found. They're not hard to find. Dinosaur footprints are found everywhere. Back in 1884, Earl Flint, a geologist representing the Peabody Museum, was working in a rock quarry in Nicaragua and found fossilized human tracks 16 to 24 feet below the surface. He describes the whole thing in his book here in 1884. We won't take time to read it all, but there were barefoot as well as well-defined sandal-footed impressions, supposedly over 200,000 years of age. Now, Mr. Flint is all confused because his evolutionary teaching at Harvard University has destroyed, I think, the logical thinking process where you're not allowed to think outside of the evolutionary box, as opposed to, hey, maybe these creatures made these footprints in the flood, okay? He says the sandals appear to have been designed both for comfort and protection. 1882, inmates at Carson City, Nevada, found several human tracks, 18 to 20 inches long, footprints of a giant. Okay, all this is in Earl Flint's testimony here. Here's a photograph of the tracks. You can get the website archaeology.com if you want more on that. These are the human tracks with the person standing here crossing a set of dinosaur tracks. The pictures are in the church over there if you want to go look at them. Dr. Daugherty is the one who took these photographs of human footprints. You need to understand there's a catch-22 situation here. We don't need to find human and dinosaur tracks together. If a few dinosaurs are still alive, that would solve the problem completely. No one has ever found human and chicken footprints in the same rock strata together. Does that prove humans and chickens did not live at the same time? No, it probably proves that humans don't normally hang out with chickens. Okay? So I don't think we need to find the footprints together, number one. Number two, I think they have been found nonetheless, okay? Texas Tracks and Artifacts is a book. It's $10, $9.50, dealing with all the latest evidence on the human and dinosaur footprints together. I've been there myself and walked in them. That's a casting of one that I have, taken directly out of the river from Glen Rose, Texas. It's a size 24. Good size. There are people today with a size 24 shoe. That's not the big deal. I mean, it's pretty big, but the footprints have been analyzed. I think they're legitimate. The reason ICR withdrew